Hello and welcome. I'm Nathan42, and in this video I'm going to be talking about some new and improved hardware. Okay, so it's been a little while since I've been a proper video on this channel. Hopefully I'm going to be doing some new and improved content now. So I'm going to be talking about home lab stuff and tech stuff. I was previously talking about 3D printing as well. The issue for me is that I don't really find that much around 3D printing that I can actually talk too much around. In the early days when I was doing 3D printing content, it was mainly around the maker scene. People were developing their own printers, building printers and things like that. That's not really too much of a thing in my circle anymore. I don't really kind of build 3D printers or do that kind of thing. I do enjoy the output of 3D printers. I enjoy the modeling side of things. I enjoy building and creating things still, but a lot less on the side of that. And also, I've also found a bit more of a liking for classic methods of making things. I've taken up a bit of leathercraft recently, not really made that much with it so far, but it's something I'm learning at the moment. And also, once you get involved in home lab stuff, there's so much to look at and so much for you to do that it becomes sometimes a bit overwhelming in ways to make it all work well and be safe. This video is mainly just me saying that I'm going to make some videos. If you don't have that much interest in my the rest of my opinion, or want to see a video of me doing something and creating something or building something or fixing something, that will be the next videos coming. But this time I'm just going to talk for a bit about some other things I'm doing and what I'm thinking about and what I'm hoping to do with the channel as a new direction. Nathan42, the channel, is still the channel. I'm still Nathan42. This is still my stuff. I really like the idea of putting videos out that can help people, that can inform people, and that can help them make better decisions and hopefully improve their own setups. My day job is in tech. My life is surrounded by tech, and I do a lot of tech stuff. I've recently purchased more tech stuff, and I have a new server. I've kind of sidestepped with my server. So I did have previously, I'll talk about some of the equipment I've got now. I did previously have a HP DL320, I think, which was a U3 rack mount server. 2 boards in it, two 250 Xeon chips, V2, because they were slightly better in power performance and stuff like that. It had, I think, 128 gigabytes of RAM, DDR3 though, so it's a little bit older. It had UFP output, which is essentially it's kind of fiber, but it's not fiber. It was a copper connector, which just has a very fast connector, which allows you to do 10 gigabits transfer. So that is one of the things. So hang on, did I have a picture of that? My old server was, and I'll show you in some of my videos coming up some of the other cool ways for me to sort these things out and build nice things. This is my old server. Yeah, as you can see here, 2 processors. We had, I think it was 120 gigabytes. It did have the redundancy on power. It did have 2 network things on the card, which were for the front bay drives, which are down here. And I had 4, well, at the end, I started with 12 3 terabyte drives, which was pretty good. But when you have 12 drives and you use probably 12 3 terabyte drives, you end up with around about 24 terabytes of space. And at the time I was using around about 4. So, I mean, fair enough. I've got room to grow. But the thing is, each drive as well is around about 12 watts of power. So if you have 12 times 12, that makes a lot of power. I swapped them out for 4 terabyte drives, which again, still quite a bit of power, but it's not as much as 12. It's a third of the power use because it's a third of the drives. I then, I had that, and I had internal drives. I had an NVMe drive and a SATA, but M2 SATA drive, which were my ones up here on one of these card things here. And then, that was my old server. It was running Proxmox, so it had a couple of different systems on it, one of them being TrueNAS, which was passing through this card here, which had the bay at the front, and that was good. It worked really well. It also ran really fast. It could do a lot of things. It was very loud. So if you're in a 2 up, 2 down house in the UK, which a lot of people are, it's a semi-detached, so we've got neighbours on one side. Servers are loud. I only had one server, so it wasn't as loud as a whole rack full of servers. But yeah, as I said, it was very loud. It was very loud. It was very annoying. And we did some fan mods. There are mods online that you can do which allow you to alter the fan curves. They, being HP, it's very conform to us or will be annoying in some of the ways they do things. One of the things that they did with this was have a thing so that if you didn't have all your drives as HP drives, it would be louder, because they couldn't check the temperature of non-HP drives efficiently. Also, they didn't provide a way to set the fan curves. In the web UI, you had to do it through a console command, which was long. It took a bit of learning, a bit of getting around and getting used to, but we sorted that out in the end, and we ended up doing just that. So yeah, that's my old server. My new server, I actually don't have any pictures of. Really annoying. I just before I started this video, I was like, let's get some bits together and then we can talk through it and go through it and stuff. It is this one. This is a ThinkStation P720. It is a workstation. So it is still industrial use. It's still rack mount size. So it fits inside the shelf, which is good. And, it's got the 2 carry handles here, which are pretty cool. It also does have 2 processors, 2 Xeon processors in it as well. And yeah, the one that I had also came with a couple of graphics cards. So it's pretty good in that sense. Graphics cards good for transcoding when you're doing video playback across your network to your TVs. They help speed this up. That's very good to have. So I've recently changed the processors on it. So I've got a couple of processors here, which are my old ones. These are very big, hefty things. These are golds, and I've switched them for 2 silvers, ironically. Sounds like a downgrade, but it has more processors. I think there's 48 cores in there now. The power draw has gone from around about 120 per chip down to, I think it was 70. That's a saving when it comes to power. There's only 2 drives in this one now. 2 16 terabyte drives. So instead of having 4 terabyte drives, I now have that as 1 16 terabyte drive. Two 16 terabyte drives. But the thing is, because you have 2, you can't set it up as a Z1, essentially. Or maybe you can, I've just done it wrong. But it's set up as a mirror of the other drive. So we have 2 drives working in tandem. That sounds good, and it is, but it doesn't allow you to expand. If you bought a 3rd or a 4th drive, I've kind of shot myself in the foot a little bit, because now I have 10 terabytes of the storage on there used out of the 12. No, there's a bit more than that. I'm sure there's like 14 or 16 terabytes. I think it's 14 actually. I have 2 14 terabyte drives. Now I can't expand it unless I move all the stuff off of these drives and then back onto these drives. It's an interesting conundrum. I might have to use several other drives to split my data and then bring it all together, which is probably a better way of doing it anyway, because yeah, drives are just like that sometimes. Also, if one of them fails, then you only use a little bit of data, which is good, which is why it's better than losing all of it. And yeah, so that's my new server. My new server is actually a workstation. Doesn't have redundant power, but it does still connect into my UPS, my uninterruptible power supply, which needs a replacement battery. But yeah, this one seen here is used in scale for radiology, which is something I know a bit more now. And yeah, it has a nice layout inside. It has easy use access for swapping in and out cards. Not really that necessary, because you do it once or 2 or 3 times in the entire lifetime of it. But it's nice that it's there. And also, to be fair, it's probably made more for the people in the factory who have to build these. who have to do probably hundreds of these per day. You have 4 drive bays down here inside the case, which is nice. The power supply is here as well, and you can pull it out. It has 2 bays at the front as well, which are nice, and you can use for potentially, if you was to get a drive just for moving data, you can plug in a drive to the front bay and then copy data to it, or copy data from it, and then pull it out. It's just 2 5.25 inch bays, I think they are. But yeah, there's loads of stuff you can do with a 5.25 inch bay. So there we have it. That's my new server, and I have TrueNAS still as my main home for my data. I'll log into TrueNAS real quick. This is my TrueNAS. Now, there's a small blip, but yeah, here's my storage pool, my local IP addresses. Oh, blur that, or don't, doesn't really matter. This is internal for my network, so don't worry, no one else is on my network, hopefully. This is a version number, this is not an IP address, so this is fine. I am logged in as the admin account, which isn't the greatest of things. I should have created my own account and had this as a probably break glass type account, but that's fine. As you can see, I have allocated 30 gigabytes of memory. I've got Vault here, which has 2.2 terabytes of free storage, which isn't the best, but it is what it is. I have a lot of other things that are kind of riding off of this, not in the virtual machines or containers, but in my application server, which is good, and I quite enjoy. Now, another thing I'd like to show you today is this. This is my home page, and this is something that I've set up, which I really enjoy. So, themed around up here, Welcome Back Commander. This is what they say on Command & Conquer. If you've ever played the game, it's a great game. My company logo, my CPU use, RAM and drive use, which is free for the drive that this is sitting on, which is not any of these drives. This is a separate drive completely. Again, we have a search thing up here, which I think if you search, it takes you to .go. So if I just go, yeah, and then this is all actually API linked to my homepage, which is on a software called Homepage. This is a 1-sheet script that allows you to build a really cool homepage. Now, I'm going to talk more about this in another video. Let me go through some of my talking points that I have written down. So, home lab and tech stuff, that's what I'm going to focus on now. Not so much 3D printing, because although I do love 3D printing and it is a good tech thing, I can talk about it in that sense. It's one of those things where I don't really know what to say about it anymore. Because nowadays, when you get 3D printers, you get a Bamboo or you get a Prusa, 1 click and you print, and it works. Back in the day, you had loads of issues that you had to resolve with 3D printing. You had things not sticking to the bed, you had things warping a lot more and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't happen that much anymore with these printers because they have kind of worked it out. And that's great. I love that. Because that was a huge bane of trying to get things to actually print. But yeah, there we go. I want to talk about different bits about home security, safety online, and data ownership, because they're some of the things I hold close to me. All the different bits on a home lab and how to improve it. So as you can see already, there's bits here. Different use cases for software, so that includes Docker and other things like that, and some of the bits we've seen today, and how to run those, and solutions, scripts as well, and that kind of thing. And then also how to de-Google your life, and then move towards a more kind of grassroots style tech system where you own your own data. In the next video, I'm going to show you some must-have tools for your home lab. Give me a message of what you want to see me do first in the comments below, and I will happily take any comments. If anyone is still watching, you are the real ones. You've kept my channel alive and kept me thinking of how I can come back to YouTube after all of this time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.